Yeah, I have three, I think, main tips for my divorce clients. And the first one is to just stay off of social media, if at all possible. It really is a minefield. There are so many ways that it can harm someone's case, and really very few ways that it can help. So if at all possible, just stay away from social media. Also, I think give yourself time to think and process before you react to the different things that happen in your case. Very little that happens in a divorce is a true emergency. And just like we tell our kids if they're angry or upset, not to immediately send an email to the person they're angry or upset with, I think that's good advice for clients in a divorce case, to just pause and kind of think things through before they react. And finally, on the practical side, when you want to communicate with your attorney, try to group all of your communications into one email a day. Don't just pop off emails every time something comes to mind. If you can group it all together, you're going to save yourself a lot of money, and that's going to be really helpful in the long run.
Number one, I would say it is look at the big picture and do what you can to try to avoid becoming mortal enemies, with the goal that someday you'll both dance at your children's wedding. So that's number one. The second tip I would give to people is don't spend dollars to fight over dimes. Be sensible with battles that are chosen. And I would say the third advice that I would give to people is be honest with their lawyer, because if we're getting bad information, we can't help them as effectively. So I would say those are probably three bits of advice I give on a regular basis.
I would say first tip would be to run something by me first. As the lawyer, the client's power to undo vastly exceeds my power to do. So it's better off to address it before it becomes a problem. So the first would be, you've got a lawyer, bring the question to me, please. And that way I'm not trying to undo a problem that could have been avoided in the first place. Second, this is a little unusual perhaps from a divorce lawyer, but of course the client has to follow the court's orders, and in Tennessee, a statutory injunction. But some clients have this view that their life is completely on hold while a case is pending. And literally, it's like they're a car that has to park and can't move anywhere while this is going on. So my advice to that person is respect the court's orders, follow the injunction, don't do the things you aren't supposed to do. But meanwhile, there are healthy things you can be doing, and you don't have to wait for the divorce to be over to do those things. In other words, your life is not completely parked while this is happening. The third piece of advice is a little bit more practical. And that is something that especially the first-time divorce clients don't know is they will get through this. Millions of people have. This will come to an end. There will be a life on the other side of it. And there will come a time when maybe they can't look back and laugh at it, they'll be able to look back at least a wry smile or a gratitude or grateful. So they will get through this, and there are better times on the other side of it.
I have three favorite divorce tips for clients, maybe a little different than what some other attorneys may have. Probably one of my first is to recognize the need for empathy. It provides incredible guidance for people to be able to figure out what the other side is doing, a little bit more rational approach, put some reasoning and foundation behind it, and ultimately it allows you to sculpt proposed solutions that fit their needs as well as yours. So you wind up with a win-win. Probably my second most valuable tip is to recognize the difference between how we get so anxious that we want to either fight or flight when neither one tends to work. And so people overreact and want to do a lot of things really quickly, when often the hallmark of success is branded by patience and a willingness to let things sort of settle in. And then finally, this idea of As far as a third tip, it really does have to do with the idea of not looking at a divorce as a zero-sum game in the sense that you're going to win and they're going to lose. Many attorneys market under the idea of we will win your case. It's really far more appropriate to say we will do the best we can for your family and make this transition in your life the most fruitful and verdant possible.
What's a quick tip for divorce? Number one, be honest. You might think you're going to get away with it. Judges like people who are honest. More importantly, judges hate people who are dishonest. We all remember Bill Clinton. I did not have sex with that woman. People didn't get as mad at him for what he did with Monica Lewinsky as they did for pointing at the screen and saying, I did not have sex. Don't get caught lying. And by don't get caught lying, I mean don't lie. It's just, as a lawyer, I'd always rather catch the other side lying than just about anything else. I'd rather catch the other side lying than cheating, doing drugs. Because when you lie, you're lying to the judge. That gets the judge offended. If you cheat, you cheated on your spouse. The judge is not as offended because you didn't do anything personal to the judge. So tip number one, be honest. Tip number two, help your lawyer. Ask your lawyer what you can do to help. We charge people a lot of money to organize receipts. We get grocery bags filled with receipts and we have to organize them and we charge by the hour. Figure out what your expenses are, figure out what your income is, figure out what your assets are, put it together in a spreadsheet and send it to your lawyer on a silver platter. You should know what you have, you should know what you earn, you should know what you spend. By the time the divorce ends, you're gonna know what you earn, you're gonna know what you spend, and you're gonna know what you have. But the question is, do you pay a lawyer to figure that out for you or do you try to do it yourself? So do as much of that yourself as possible. And number three, push your divorce lawyer. Some divorce lawyers will sit back and just react to whatever is in front of them. So if you haven't heard from your lawyer in a while, there's nothing wrong with calling and saying, just checking in. Can we schedule a time to talk? Can we have a meeting? Ask your lawyer for updates. Some lawyers are good about it, some aren't. But if you don't feel like you're getting an update, it's okay to ask.
My 3 favorite quick divorce tips for clients. 1 is stay off of social media. 2 is be honest with your attorneys. And 3 is take care of yourself and your children.
My 3 best tips for divorce clients are, first, understand your divorce lawyer's life. Most of the time, your divorce lawyer's life is complete chaos. And there's a number of reasons for that are not that lawyer's particular fault. Right? Some clients will call in because of a physical abuse situation and police officers were at the house. Other lawyers get caught in court by judges and can't get away and can't make a phone call. My second best tip is write down everything. Batch your questions. When you're worried at night about a particular topic, write down the question. Give your lawyer an opportunity to understand the context of your concern. And sometimes writing out the stories in a narrative format is the best way for some lawyers to process information. Law school was all about reading and writing and learning through a visual method. And then finally, a great tip is ask questions. Your lawyer doesn't know what you know or don't know about the process. You've got to be comfortable with the process to have trust in your lawyer. For you to have any kind of decent outcome, you've got to have a good working relationship with your family lawyer. So when you write down your questions and batch, when you get to a critical mass, call the lawyer and schedule a telephone conference. It's almost impossible for any family lawyer to pick up the phone and answer and talk to you or see a particular email the instant it comes in. It may be 24 hours or more before your lawyer has the ability to even see the request for a phone call. So maybe ask for a meeting the week following and understand between trials and other court actions, depositions, Sometimes that scheduling may take a little longer than you would like. Other times it's going to be very quick. But just because your lawyer gives you a quick setting, don't as far as getting into the office or a phone call, don't assume that lawyer's going to be able to do it the next day or the week in the future. Because, as I mentioned, life is in chaos. And that's the nature of family law. It just is.